I'm Gabby.
And I'm Shanna.
And we're 27 Travels.
And if you didn't see already, we eloped and now we're wives and we're married.
Isn't that crazy? This is a real update for you.
So you probably would have already seen our wedding video. It should be the most recent video on our channel. And this is going to kind of just be like explaining everything having to do with our elopement because we surprised a lot of people when we eloped.
Right now, we're away from New York. We're like in Rhode Island and we're doing something for work. So while we were here, we're in this big, beautiful house and we thought, let's set up a little like we eloped situation so that we can kind of celebrate it. So we thought when we were doing this anyway, why not just film this video for all of you and kind of answer everybody's like unanswered questions that you have about our elopement and the fact that we're married now.
So basically we put a Q&A box on our Instagram and we answered some of them, but we didn't really go into depth. So we're going to answer some of the questions that you all asked us on Instagram. So the first question is, did you decide to elope when you were in Australia or had the plan already been made?
So the plan had kind of already been made. Shanna and I knew for a while that we wanted to elope, but it was like kind of a thing where we were like, we'll elope when it feels right. We always knew that we wanted to elope when we were traveling, and we knew that it was like on the horizon, but like we didn't have any trips where it felt like right and like everything just fell into place. And basically when we decided to go to Australia for World Pride and everything actually worked out, like we got the flights, we made everything happen, then we were like, we need to elope here. Like that just seems like the right move for us.
If you guys know the story of how we met, we actually have a video about that on our YouTube channel, but we actually met at Pride. So once we knew that we were going to Australia for World Pride, we were kind of like, this is like a full circle moment. Like it feels right to do this here. And also we always knew that we wanted our friend Robbie to be like the officiant at our elopement, and he was going to be in Australia at the same time, so we were like, this is perfect. So basically we didn't find out that we were going to Australia until like a month before the trip was gonna happen, so we kind of had to get everything for the elopement ready within a month, which was a little difficult.
Everything kind of like fell into place. Even planning that short notice, everything just kind of worked out and fell into place, so we knew that it was the right time for us to elope.
One thing we were like really picky about is we wanted to be married on the 27th, because you all know 27 is our lucky number. So we wanted to make sure that we could have like a 27th available, and if that didn't work out, then we were like, it's not meant to be. But when they had the 27th available, we were like, this is gonna happen. We
literally, a month after our 7-year anniversary, eloped in Australia.
Okay, so the next person asked why Sydney, and I feel like we kind of already explained that. Like basically, it was more of like the opportunity presented itself when we knew we were going to Sydney. Like we didn't plan to elope in Sydney, but once we knew we were already going to Sydney, we were kind of like, maybe we could figure out how to elope here. And also because of World Pride, we knew that it would be such a fun event, and we knew actually that a lot of our friends were also going to be there from all around the world, so we knew that we could kind of like celebrate with them afterwards as well. So it wouldn't be like completely just like me, Gabby, and Robbie by ourselves. Like we would be able to celebrate with some people.
We had our elopement ceremony, just like us and Robbie, and then we went and had dinner together after that. And then after that, we were able to meet like a whole group of all of our friends that were already in Australia and kind of like celebrate the elopement like at a bar together, which was like really nice and special and just like kind of an unplanned coincidence that really worked out.
This person asked, how does it work? After the elopement, you go and register at the Union PS Love from Berlin. Our legal wedding is not the wedding that we had in Australia.
We chose that, by the way. There are ways that if you want to elope somewhere, you can legally have it done in the place that you're eloping, but because this was so short notice, Shanna and I did not do that, and we knew that we basically wanted to come back to New York and do all of our paperwork and the legal marriage here, but just count our wedding day as the elopement in Australia.
So basically, to be married in the state of New York, you have to have the ceremony in the state of New York. And since that's not what we really wanted to do, we decided that it would just be better to elope and then have like a courthouse ceremony or whatever you need to legally be married in New York afterwards, because we wouldn't have had time to go do it before. But this also goes for like anyone who has like a destination wedding and lives in the state of New York. Like you have to do the legal part, which is filling out the marriage license and going to the courthouse and doing whatever they deem like a legal ceremony, which I think is just like a quick like 5-minute ceremony with like someone who is able to perform it like at the courthouse. You have to do that before or after your destination wedding, because you have to legally be married in the state of New York for it to count as a legal marriage in the state of New York.
So by the time that you see this video, basically we will already be legally married because Shanna and I, at this point in time that we're filming this video, have already done the online part of getting the marriage license done. And now all we have to do, which we're doing on April 14th, is going to the courthouse in Brooklyn with a few of our friends and doing the actual legal ceremony that makes us legally married. So pretty much by the time you watch this video, if it is past April 14th, we are already legally married in the state of New York.
Okay, so the next question is, how did your families feel about the elopement? In general, I think that our families were pretty okay with us eloping. We've been saying for years that we don't want a traditional wedding. I think that they all knew that we were not gonna have like a typical wedding where you have the ceremony at a church and then you have the reception after with like all your loved ones. Like we always said we didn't want that. So I think for the most part, like our immediate family was like okay with that and knew that.
For certain people, we let the elopement be like a complete surprise. Like, oh, they had no idea out of the blue, because we felt like that's part of the point of eloping, is like not everybody knowing. But for like really close friends and family, we kind of gave them a heads up like a day or two before, kind of being like, okay, like we're gonna elope on this trip. Like, I mean, like our close families knew that we were gonna elope on this trip like before we went to Australia, because we just kind of wanted them to have a heads up, like we're gonna elope. We don't want them to feel like completely left out. Like obviously part of the point is like we both have complicated family situations, and not having a big wedding is always what we knew that we wanted, but we still want the people that we love and feel close to feel like, you know, we thought of them, they were cared for, even though the day really was about us and we wanted it to be about us, and just like to have that intimate moment like together.
We saw both of our families when we came back, and they were like, you know, excited for us and, you know, wanted to see pictures of the elopement and everything. So I think that they were pretty okay with it. It's obviously a little different and like not what, especially my family who comes from like Long Island, where like everyone has like a really big traditional wedding, is used to, but we're not traditional people and our families know that. So this person asked, will you be having a celebration with family and friends in New York? Weddings are overrated in my opinion.
Agree. Weddings are a little bit overrated and really expensive.
But yeah, so our plan is to have 2 wedding parties, one in Curacao where Gabby's family is from, because she has a lot of family and they all pretty much live in Curacao, so it just makes sense to do it there. And then we're also going to have another one in New York for like our families that are in New York and our friends, etc. But we're not really like sure about when we're gonna do it. Like we're not super like strict, I guess, on like when the New York party is, for example. Like we kind of feel like maybe within the next year, but we haven't even started planning it yet. And we have a lot of ideas, but we have not executed them at all.
Basically, it'll happen when it happens. The Curacao thing will definitely be within this year, probably right before 2024, like when we go to Curacao around the time that we normally go. And we're not really picky about that. We just want it to be like a party with family, not anything like a traditional wedding.
We just want to like, you know, basically tell all our friends and family, we're married, thank you for being a part of our lives and supporting us.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
Did you guys have any elopement planning stress? No.
No.
I think the only thing we were stressed about is if the rings, our rings that we have on here, would come in time, and that was because we did everything last minute. We actually had ordered the rings way before we even had the idea to elope, because like Gabby was saying at the beginning of this video, we kind of knew we wanted to elope this year, but we just wanted to wait for the right opportunity. So we were like, well, the first step to eloping is having the rings. Yeah. So we need to order the rings.
Basically, we were like at a stage in life where we were like, we don't care when we elope. It could be 2 years from now, it could be now, but like we were realizing that it's extremely hard to be spontaneous, which is what we want to do. Shanna and I want to be spontaneous and want to elope somewhere random on short notice, and we had this realization that like if we did not buy the rings, we could never be spontaneous, because anytime something spontaneous happens, we don't have rings. We literally can do nothing spontaneous, because the number one thing you need for an elopement is some sort of ring. So it really occurred to us that let's just get the rings so that we can be spontaneous, which to be honest was one of our best decisions ever, because had we not ordered the rings, we basically ordered the rings in November.
Yeah, we
just out of pure luck.
Yeah, we actually ordered the rings like right around the holidays. Gabby's was like a custom ring. She said it was gonna take like 2 months or something to like make her ring, even though we have the same rings. Gabby just wanted like different metal.
Part of what made the whole eloping so stress-free is that we actually hired an elopement company, which I guess Shanna can explain a little more like what that is if you've never like done an elopement or like heard of one before.
Yeah, so basically, because we had done a lot of like styled wedding shoots before, like in our careers as like content creators and influencers, we knew that like elopement planners or like wedding planners and like that kind of stuff like existed. But we knew specifically there were ones for elopement. So I figured that there's probably one in the Sydney area. So I just started Googling when we were like knew we wanted to elope, for like elopement companies like in the area. And I found this one person called Weekday Wedded Bliss. Her name is Andrea and she's amazing. But basically I reached out to her and basically just said, hey, like we're not from here and we want to elope. Like, are you able, one, are you free and available and able to help us do it? Two, like what's the price, etc. So she got back to us and basically said, yes, she's available, and the 27th was available, which was like one of the questions that we had asked. And then essentially what she does is like, she is like the wedding planner, but just for elopement. So she like gave us a list of photographers and we chose from that list. She gave us a list of videographers and we chose from that list, and a list of like wedding, like bouquet, like florist people, and we chose from that list. So essentially she just like sent us like all the people who would be able to like assist us with our like elopement day, and then we just picked from that list of people, and then she gave us the prices, and she also like gave us a few locations to choose from of like where we wanted to elope, and she also like filed the permit, because I think you have to like to have a ceremony like out in public, you have to like have a permit to be able to like hold the ceremony there. So she like filed the permit. Like she basically took care of everything so that when all we had to do was like show up.
We need to say this, way cheaper than a wedding.
I think in total everything was like $3,600 or $3,800.
So basically
for everything
under $4,000, full ceremony, wedding, photos, video, bouquet, hair and makeup, you name it.
If you're looking for like a more affordable way to get married, definitely look into eloping if you're interested.
Yeah, and it also did feel like super special and intimate. Like I don't know how to describe that, just exactly what we wanted in getting married to each other.
Okay, the next question is, where did you get your rings? Greetings from Austria.
Oh, I feel like we gotta go close to the camera for this.
I think we should stand up.
Let's stand up.
So these are our rings, and we got them from this jeweler that we actually saw on Pinterest, called Jane Pope Jewelry. And one of the things that I've always said to Gabby, like since like, you know, we've been dating for a few years, was like, I don't want diamonds on my engagement ring. But as you can tell, I do. I currently have diamonds on my finger. But I always said I didn't want diamonds because one, my birthstone is a diamond. I'm born in April, so like my whole life I was always like given things with diamonds in it. And also diamonds always felt very feminine to me. I think people associate like femininity and like with like diamonds, for example, or like being really girly with diamonds, and I'm really not like very feminine or girly at all. So I always kind of like didn't like that aspect of diamonds. So like when I like growing up, I was just kind of like, no, I don't want diamonds. So when we were like talking about, you know, in the future what we want for our like wedding rings, I was like, I don't want a diamond. Up until like I would say last year, I literally was like, I don't want a diamond, I don't want a diamond, I want a different like stone or whatever. But then we were scrolling on Pinterest and I found like this like ring set that we currently have on like Pinterest.
There was like a photo on Pinterest of somebody, and
I probably still have it. I could probably like insert it.
You need to find the photo, but like basically like Shanna was just like scrolling on Pinterest one day, not looking up wedding stuff, not looking up anything like that. And this literal ring, the one that she's wearing, came up, like that exact stack.
This exact stack. And I was like, wait, like that's really cool, because it's not like the one like diamond stone, it's like diamonds, but like, you know, like small ones and like a little circle, and like I like the thicker like wedding band, so I like looked into it and I was like, okay, Gabby, if like you were to, you know, get my ring for me or whatever, I kind of like this one. And Gabby's like, wait, I like that one too. So that's why we decided on getting the same one, because most people I don't think have the same like wedding band or engagement rings or anything. But we just have the same one because we both happen to like the same one.
Like it happens to suit both of our different like styles, personalities. It's like the right mix between like, I don't know, maybe like masculine and feminine. It's not like the girliest ring, because neither of us are.
Okay, so I think those are all the questions that people ask us on Instagram. But if you, our YouTube fan, have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments, and then maybe we can do like a part 2, because I feel like there's so much more about our elopement that we could say, but we just don't know like what people are interested in hearing.
Especially because we're filming this video before you see like our actual wedding video. Like maybe that will create some more questions that you'd like to ask about the elopement, which we're totally fine with, so drop them down below.
I also think it's really important to kind of show like a different side to a wedding. Like you don't have to have the traditional wedding or the traditional reception if it doesn't feel right to you, and whatever your traditional wedding is in your culture. I feel like there are so many different ways to do things nowadays, and we just want to kind of like be like that representation that if you don't want to have a traditional wedding, you don't have to. You can do your own thing. You can do it whatever way feels right to you, and it's still cool and amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like showing you the fact that you are not forced to do anything in a way that you don't want to do it, because I think with weddings, people can feel really forced into tradition and having to do all of these different things that maybe they don't actually want to do, and then being miserable at their wedding, which I don't think is how you should ever feel about going into any kind of wedding or birthday, or I mean literally anything. So just putting out there that there are different options in the world and you can do things your own way and carve your own path and not have to do what everybody else is doing.
So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and make sure you stay tuned for the next one.
Yeah, we're wives now.
Bye.
Bye.